coming up.
Oh, it's tax time.
Our professionals are here to help you solve your tax problems once and for all.
But watch out.
When you're desperate, you do desperate things.
Plus,
I've been back and forth twice now, not to mention when I came with Sally Down.
Back and forth, a battle between Dr. James McGee and Metro.
Am I being recorded? Get on my face, man.
Cover on your side because
It smells really bad.
You don't do that.
I guess you can't talk to us now, huh?
I think it was a setup. It was a trick.
You did a great job.
and now inside 7 on Your Side with Ross and Sean.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Ross.
I'm Sean, and this is the most handsome duo on TV.
There you go. We'll start with the first lie. Let's get the phone number out there, 703-387-1020, because we've got a guest tonight you'll want to call and ask some questions.
Yeah, we're talking layoffs, anybody out there being hit, losing their job, the potential of losing your job, need questions, need some help. Tonight is your night.
People's lives are being turned upside down, and they're about to be again because guess what time it is?
Oh, yeah, it's tax time.
It's tax time.
Yeah.
You can't avoid it.
No, you can't. I mean, it's one of those things. We start off talking about it. It happens to everybody. But Ross, how do you deal with it?
Well, you can avoid taxes, but you can't avoid this, and that is companies offering to help you crawl out of tax debt. Now, the promises are big, but you need to be aware of what's behind the pitch.
At Tax Care Professionals, we know that dealing with the IRS can be an emotional and nerve-wracking experience.
Yeah, it can be. Dina Subsibi knows firsthand. She owes the IRS 14 grand.
When you're desperate, you do desperate things.
So she turned to this Tax Care Pros commercial for help.
Our professionals are here to help you solve your tax problems once and for all.
But they didn't. Dina paid them $600 on a $3,000 contract. But when she checked on the progress with the IRS, bad news.
And there's no contact at all from them. Okay.
She stopped payments
I just want my refund back.
and called us for help.
Let's give them a call here. What's your name? Hello? Transferred again.
Tax Care Professionals is based in Los Angeles. After they passed us around, they only said no to the refund because they say they reached out to the IRS and stopped working on her case when she stopped payment, which is where James Leith comes in.
She probably did in your office was called the IRS and said, do I have a power of attorney on file? They said no.
He's with the IRS Taxpayer Advocate Service.
There is not a power of attorney. We'll call her up, let her know that we've received her case, and then reach out to our colleagues at the IRS, asking that they suspend any collection activity until we've had an opportunity to digest the facts of the particular case.
Here's what we discovered about Tax Care Professionals. The Better Business Bureau has had 49 complaints about the company and urges caution about this type of service, stating many taxpayers have been left with the original tax debt along with additional interest and penalties.
You're better off to deal directly with the IRS and work with them. Okay?
Okay.
But Dina is not out in the cold.
I'm going to hook you up with the Taxpayer Advocacy Service.
Great. Thank you.
All right. And they did reach out to her. We've checked back with Dina, but she didn't.
She must be happy.
She must be happy because she didn't return my call.
The people only tend to call us when they need help. So once
must
they've
have
got
got
their
what
help,
she wanted.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. You know, this is a bad time of the year too because people often make mistakes in their tax returns. They don't know where to go for help. Well, there's software out there that can help you find mistakes but you have to go in deep into the software when you're filling out your taxes. You use the software.
Well, I use H&R Block online, and I think it's actually a really good program for someone who's done their taxes before. You know, not if you're the easy form kind of person, but if you've done your taxes, you're familiar with it just a little bit, it's an okay process. Tax cut, all those. But what we saw in that story there, Ross, those Tax Care Pros and those, you can get that stuff for free from the IRS. You don't have to go out and pay for a service. So make sure that if you find yourself $14,000 in debt, $4,000 in debt, $100 in debt, that don't rely on those services to pay them money.
And they never returned any of our phone calls. And that
well, obviously you saw the frustration in the story.
And even after the story ran. Now we got a caller on the line. Cherie, you've got a problem with credit card debt. Hello, Cherie, you're on the line with us.
Hey, Cherie, go ahead. What's your problem?
Yeah, turn down your TV a bit so you can hear us, okay? Turn down your TV a bit. Are you there? I guess Cherie got cold feet or got nervous and hung up the phone.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about layoffs. It's really affecting a lot of people, turning things upside down. Unemployment lines are growing, and how do you cope with those impending layoffs? What do you do when your life is turned upside down?
Yep.
Okay. Life coach Jim Weinstein will join us to answer your questions.
Dave Lucas on News Channel 8. More local, more often.
Chantilly, Columbia, Gaithersburg, Southern Maryland, and Woodbridge. Aren't you curious about Direct Buy? Your friends and neighbors are saving hundreds, even thousands every day on virtually everything for their home by buying direct from Direct Buy.
We don't have to pay all that extra markup because we've got our little insider Direct Buy way to shop.
You can upgrade the quality because you can afford to spend more money and get better quality items because of all the savings that you get.
Kitchens, flooring, home furnishings, lighting, window treatments, electronics from over 700 brand name manufacturers and their authorized suppliers, all without paying traditional retail markup.
For us, we didn't get more items, we got better items. So, I mean, I never would have thought of buying a 73-inch big screen TV. I just never thought I was in the price range to do so. Same thing with the quality of furniture.
On military pay, I would not be able to afford that. I probably would have had to get something mid-grade. I would have had to settle. But because I'm a member of Direct Buy, I didn't have to settle. I was able to buy top of the line.
Are you building, remodeling, or simply redecorating a room? There is now a way to buy virtually everything you need at prices you never imagined possible.
I have been able to purchase items of a higher quality than I would have been able to afford at a retail store because the prices are so good. They have all of the major name brands that you would find at any other retail store, and the prices are 20, 30, up to 50% off of the retail markup that I would have to pay at another store.
Call now and receive your free insider's guide to buying direct, plus a free visitor's pass to take an exclusive tour of your local Direct Buy showroom. Why pay retail? Start buying the Direct Buy way. Call the number on your screen now.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. 703-387-1020. That's the phone number, of course, to call Ross or me. Get some help right now. Cherie was on the phone earlier. Ross hung up, probably got a little scared, who knows, but if they need help, this is the place to get your answers, right?
Absolutely. In fact, we're going to be talking about people who need help tonight. They've been calling it Bloody Monday. About 71,000 people losing their jobs in one day across the nation. We're up to, what are we, 2.6 million last year, or something like that, 2.3 million jobs lost. And it's getting worse. Every day we just keep hearing more and more about it. And now, people, how do you cope? When you got to go home to your wife, you got to go home to tell your kids you lost your job today. You don't know whether you can pay the mortgage.
It's like, I mean, it's even more severe, but it's like when the girlfriend or boyfriend breaks up with you. It's like there's an embarrassment factor to it too. But yeah, you've done nothing wrong.
Right.
For most parts, I mean, this company's decided to let you go.
It affects a lot of people's self-esteem. They're tough days for everyone. They're being cut everywhere, as you said. The Department of Labor says that Maryland's unemployment rate is at a 15-year high. General Motors added another 2,000 jobs.
Yeah, to the unemployment rolls. Home Depot is shutting down all its design centers, and even Sprint and Nextel is slashing 8,000 jobs. And Ross, the list continues.
Yeah, we could keep going on, but we're just going to depress you even further. You know, it is depressing. It's a difficult time for everyone. And to help us tonight is life coach Jim Weinstein to talk about how do you get through all of this. Jim, what do you do? How do you go home and tell your family, especially if your spouse or significant other is not working, that you lost your job?
That's got to be a very difficult conversation. You need to approach the subject frankly and honestly. A lot of people are tempted to try to downplay the news, but your family is a critical source of support for you. So you need them there. Swallow, take a deep breath, tell your wife, I lost my job, I need your help, and then take action.
As a life coach, how many people are you getting coming in now? Have you seen an increase in business? People come to you for counseling services?
Absolutely. People are very anxious, and they have reason to be.
Jim, thanks for joining us, and hopefully we'll get some calls here where we can help some people out. But I know some people who have been laid off, and some single, some have families. But there's an instance where you think they're great employees. They've done everything right. Is there something else that somebody can do to say, hey, I'm more employable, don't get rid of me?
It's all about increasing your value to the company, and there are a number of ways you can do that. You should start by taking stock of what your strengths and weaknesses are. And as you identify weaknesses, and you can use your last employment review as a starting point, as you identify your weaknesses, put together a plan that will address them, and you should try to take a step every month to address one of those weaknesses.
Now, Jim, a lot of times now what's happening is people are asking employees to do more for less. Employees who thought they were already doing more for less are being asked to even do more on top of that. And so they're going to work and they're maybe feeling a little disgruntled and say, to heck with this company, I'm not doing that now, and why should I? And how do you get past that? And that negative attitude can be defeating in the end, can't it? Absolutely.
That's going to accelerate your exit from the company. You've got to get a new attitude, to quote the song, and I would say the best way to do that is to think about the alternative, which is to be out on the street in this environment with hundreds of thousands of people looking for a job. Isn't it better to be employed even if it's a not ideal situation?
Jim, in this environment, this current status that we're in, is there anybody who's off limits, or should everybody be planning that there's a possibility to maybe save a little bit of money every paycheck? Because is there anyone who's above being laid off?
Probably not, and it's a good idea in this economy to be putting some money aside. It's very difficult to do that. Most people are just able to pay their bills. But if you can put some money aside, and probably more importantly, if you can work with a budget and start to cut down on some of the unnecessary expenses, you're going to build a cushion that will help you if you are laid off.
Give us more steps. If you think you're in the trigger hairs.
You should definitely check on your resume. Make sure it's up to date. You should consult a book on how to write a resume if you have any questions about that. Resumes for Dummies is a great book on that. You should check on your unemployment benefits in the area that you live. Maryland and the district have different regulations than does Virginia, for example. You should check your medical insurance. COBRA will probably cover you, but COBRA rates are a lot higher than they are if you're employed. So you might want to check and see if there's a less expensive medical plan that you can get on.
Okay, Jim, well, again, thanks for joining us. And another way, Ross, is that people can actually call in the show right now. Because, Jim, if you don't mind sticking around, take some phone calls, and if people call and have direct, specific questions that maybe you can answer, you can help out if that's okay.
Be happy to do that.
Yeah,
okay.
It's interesting what Jim said, too, because Jim Weinstein, life coach, interesting what he said about COBRA, because one of the complaints we get from people right now is the medical costs. They can't afford to pay their medical costs, and they're out of work, and they have no coverage, and that's a big, big deal.
Yeah, I mean, typically, not all the time, but typically you've been in your job for a while before, if you lose it, so you're settled, and next thing you know, you don't have health insurance, you don't have income. I mean, it's a very tough situation. You can understand why it's on the forefront of the news every day.
Okay, more Inside 7 on your side coming up, and what you may not know about what Metro's not telling you.
Inside Washington with Gordon Peterson, Saturday nights at 7 on News Channel 8.
We don't live in a perfect world, but you could help make it better. Train in criminal justice and you could have lots of opportunities. You could work as a parole officer, youth advocate, correctional treatment specialist, and more. Times like these call for people like you. So don't wait any longer. Find out how you can get started in criminal justice.
For a brochure, call 800-670-6745. That's 800-670-6745.
Hi, I'm Heather, and I hope that last commercial inspired you to call this number and ask for an informational brochure on career training. If you're thinking about a new career, I'll bet you have some questions, and our brochure will give you some answers. We'll take your call 24 hours a day, all night, and weekends too. So what are you waiting for? Right now is a great time to call.
For a brochure, call 800-670-6745. That's 800-670-6745.
My name is Phyllis Ellis, and I am a cancer survivor. The surgeon said, "You have cancer." Even his touch was cold. It was like I didn't have life. So I said, well, you know what? I'll be back. And I never came back. I called the Cancer Treatment Center of America. They took me by the hand. They explained things to me. They're compassionate. They feel my pain. They knew me better than I knew myself. The energy that I got from them, I took that and I gave it to the patients. I said, let me tell you something. We are fighters, and fighters win.
Call now and we'll send you this free DVD that shows you how the most compassionate group of people anywhere puts you at the center of everything we do. Advanced medical treatment combined with unique supportive therapies give you treatment options you may not even know exist.
Oh my God, I got my life back again. Just want to sing every day. I got a song in my heart. I'm healthy. I'm good.
Please call today.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. You know, they can reach us, Ross, 703-387-1020, but you can also email us with problems. Blogging, there's online, any medium you can think of. If you want to send a carrier pigeon, send it over. We're going to help.
Well, we might not be able to feed it or care for it, but go ahead, tie something
we'll listen to the complaint, yeah.
Tie something to its leg. All right, we got an email this week. The viewer writes, Joe says he's disabled and lost his Social Security income. He got a credit card to start a business. He was supposed to get advertising paid up front, which would in turn would send people to a website, generate leads, earn commissions. Well, you can guess what happened.
Yeah, get out your reading glasses, folks. There's the complaint right there on the screen.
It's quite lengthy, but bottom line here is he bit into something that he should not have and used a credit card to start a business. Let's talk about that.
Well, what's then the biggest question? Anybody out there? And we had Cherie on the phone before. Maybe this is going to answer her question. What does she do? What do they do? What's this, emailer do?
Yeah, well, if you're looking for new work and you're planning on starting a business, you've got to have money put aside. And the last thing you want to do is start charging on a credit card, a business loan at the very least, because that's a lower interest rate. You're looking at credit card interest rates now. If you miss a payment by even a day, they're jacking up the interest rates, doubling them in some cases. Now, he got onto a website that promised web traffic to his site. He probably didn't even know who he was dealing with. Now he's got these bills on his credit card and no business coming in.
So you're saying a bad idea then, just a bad idea.
Horrible idea.
Don't rely on your credit cards to bail you out of debt. First of all, definitely don't rely on them to start building something like, I'm going to start a business using my credit card. It's not going to work, folks. Leave it alone. Don't do it.
Now, having said that, if he's got some kind of a contract in which he was promised some sort of goods or services for the money that was charged on his credit card, he could put it in dispute with his credit card company, provided he does it within 60 days, and then perhaps those charges would be suspended.
Okay. All right, Ross, let's turn things now toward Metro, where they've been trying to keep a lot of things underground this year. And we aren't just talking about the trains. First, a budget shortfall of $176 million. Then, 900 jobs on the brink, and up to now, trying to keep the public in the dark about lost millions in lawsuits.
You got that right. It's really adding up, and we've already told you about $2.3 million Metro has paid out over the deaths of 2 women killed by a Metro bus. Then we learned of another multi-million-dollar settlement that Metro tried to keep secret.
I've been back and forth twice now, not to mention when I came when Sally died.
Back and forth, a battle between Dr. James McGee and Metro over the death of his sister Sally. 2 years ago, she and her best friend Martha Schoenborn were struck and killed by a Metro bus in a D.C. crosswalk. This driver, Victor Calaco, was convicted, but the families went after Metro and sued, largely because of this.
There we go.
After we caught Metro buses running red lights and speeding just days after the women were killed. But James McGee wanted to send a message.
Either a settlement that will make the public sit up and take notice and start asking some questions, or we go to trial.
A confidentiality agreement was signed, and the public agency refused to reveal the amount paid to the McGee family. Just listen to this message left for us by a Metro attorney.
The non-disclosure agreement itself is not our basis. Our basis is their interest in privacy, and that outweighs the public interest.
Really? Whose privacy is Metro trying to protect? Because when we told James McGee, the family quickly signed this notarized document for 7 on Your Side stating, "We have no privacy objections." We can now tell you Metro has paid out $2,950,000 to the family of Sally McGee. Metro officials would not talk on camera about it, but
they can never be compensated enough for this loss.
Incoming Metro Board Chairman Jim Graham has the final word.
We're doing everything we can to make sure that our buses are operated safely and effectively.
Metro has made a number of changes to improve safety, and the bus driver in that tragedy, Victor Calaco, has reached out to the families. In fact, Sean, he's trying to get the city to sponsor an annual prayer service so that everyone who's been killed on city streets because of neglect or safety problems can be remembered. And he's obviously feeling the pain. He'll never recover from this, but then you think those families
Right, neither will Greg Schoenborn or James McGee. I mean, that's a very tough situation. It's nice to finally have a final number and let all of those families move on and hopefully, I don't know what you do after a situation like that. It's horrible.
It was incredible to me that Metro would play this game with the media and play this game with us in terms of trying to make a non-disclosure settlement stick. You know, they made it sound to us like the families demanded it, they requested it, they were insistent upon privacy. Well, when I called up James McGee, who was the only one negotiating with Metro in this case, and I said, look, I said, Metro's saying that you asked for this and I can't get them to release. He laughed. In fact, he says, yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's why
They weren't protecting.
why I came to D.C. and said, look, I want a settlement
several
that's going
times,
to hold
not
Metro
just
accountable.
once, several times.
And for them to, you know, I don't know the lines of communication and who was told what, but the lawyer, the way he communicated it to me, said these people were insistent. Now I don't know who.
Well, we obviously got under their skin during the investigations that we did, catching so many buses running red lights and stop signs, and obviously they didn't like dealing with us and don't like dealing with us. But that doesn't matter because in the end, they needed to give out the number and let the public know because the public paid for that.
It's public money, and the public needs to know, and it's a public safety issue. And the good news here is they have made a number of changes, which we have reported upon. And there are a lot of very good Metro bus drivers out there, and there are a lot of other drivers on the streets who don't give courtesy to buses. They don't let them into traffic. So I can understand it's a very difficult job. There are two sides to this story, obviously.
Okay, buddy. So we still got Jim Weinstein here, and I want to ask another question.
Tell people who Jim Weinstein is if you're just tuning in. He's a life coach, and he joined us earlier in the show to talk about layoffs and people losing their jobs.
Yeah, and we talked about like what do you do on the impending doom. But Jim, what I'm kind of curious about, what do you expect if you are laid off? Is there anything to expect? You expect like a couple weeks severance pay? What is out there for someone if they do get laid off?
In terms of financial support,
anything.
Unemployment benefits is the first place to start, and you should immediately file for unemployment.
I want to ask people when they're coming to you, they're having difficulty coping. And I want to ask you, what is the most common thing you're hearing from people right now in this economy? What are they saying to you when they come in to meet with you for the first time?
They're having a lot of difficulty in dealing with the uncertainty, and that manifests itself in difficulty in sleeping, in overeating sometimes, in depression, in sitting around the house and not being able to get motivated.
Jim, you probably have one of the toughest jobs then, being a life coach, to bring people up and lift their spirits in a time when most of the economy is down in the dumps. I mean, what do you say to them? What do you do? What's the? I know there's not a one fix-all phrase, but what do you do to try to help them through?
I try to motivate people, and I look to find a strength or several strengths that they have and play to those strengths. And by encouraging people to see that they do have strengths, it gets them ready to take some action, and action is what's critical in this environment. You've got to update your resume. You've got to network.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing you want to do is sit on your duff after you've been laid off and like start eating ice cream or being like, oh, woe is me. You need to get off your bum and get out there and get a new job.
As difficult as that may be, that's right.
But how do you do that? I mean, clearly, is there a period of grieving that is allowed? I mean, what is there?
That's why I was asking about like the severance. Can you get like at least a couple weeks? Can a man have a couple weeks to be like, can I just be around him for a week or two?
I mean, what do you tell people? You say, go out, have a couple drinks, have a good cry, and then wake up the next morning and don't drive. But you know what I mean? But I mean, what are you telling people? How do you tell them to get through this first initial shock?
There is a period of grief and loss, and the family is critical in helping people deal with that. Take a few days, take a couple of weeks if necessary, but then you got to get back into the game.
That's it. That's great advice. All right. Yep, get off the duff and get back in the game. Okay, folks, we're going to be back right after this, so stay with us.
According to a new study, finding a job screen is the most important.
Not terribly profound, but.
risk of having a second heart attack.
Mike Cathy from World Echo Forte.
Kyle Osborne weather on News Channel 8. More local, more often.
It's a little something I've done every night since I was a kid. Empty my pocket change into this old jar. It's never much, just what's left after I break $1. And I never thought I could get quality life insurance with my spare change.
Neither did I, until I saw a commercial for Colonial Penn. Imagine people our age getting life insurance at such an affordable rate.
If you're 50 to 85, you can get guaranteed acceptance life insurance from Colonial Penn for about 25 cents a day, just $7.95 a month per unit. There's no medical exam and no health questions. You know, the average cost of a funeral is over $6,500. That's a big burden to leave your loved ones. Colonial Penn makes it easy and affordable to help cover your final expenses. As long as you're 50 to 85, you cannot be turned down for this guaranteed acceptance coverage. Your premium never goes up and your benefit never goes down due to age. Plus, your coverage builds cash value over time. Call now for free information and a free gift.
All I did was make a phone call to Colonial Penn. They answered all my questions.
It couldn't have been any easier. And we both got the coverage we should have had for years now.
Mm-hmm. With change to spare.
Call toll-free 1-800-335-4040 to receive free information and a free gift in the mail. That's 1-800-335-4040. Call now.
Want beautiful floors like this for less? Or quality name brand carpet that's more affordable?
Well, with Empire Today, you can get the lowest price guaranteed. We won't be undersold. Plus, you get shop-at-home convenience, next-day installation, and no payments till 2010. Why go anywhere else? Get the most for your money and the lowest price guaranteed. Call Empire today.
800-588-2300 Empire.
Today.
I guess we're out of time.
I guess we're out of time. So everybody, thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, I guess we're not out of time.
Oh, we got a minute.
Good, because I wanted to talk about this. In case you haven't heard, okay, Citibank went out and purchased a $50 million jet. Okay, after they got $45 billion from the government. And here's how they
There it is. Look at that thing.
Look at it. Here's how they justify
Where's my jet?
Yeah.
Where's my jet?
Hold your breath, because you know this is a tight economy. Here's what happened is they justified this luxury jet, and people wrapped in comfort there. It seats 12. They justified it by saying they were selling off their old fleet, and that's how they were going to pay for it.
Hold my breath. That's ridiculous.
And if they canceled the contract, they would end up losing millions. Now let me ask you this: which is better? What's your solution to this problem?
I already told you down in the office. You said let's forego and let you take the penalties and lose a couple million instead of 50. I said buy the jet, and then Ross sell the jet,
and sell it.
Sell it.
Right. President Obama said fix it, and hopefully they will. As always, if you need help, go to WJLA.com and click on 7 on your side. Call our toll-free hotline at
866-236-3401.
And folks, once again, there you have it.